Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Cooking with Tammy. Today I'm going to show you how I make my delicious garlic and herb pork steaks. What? When I tell you these garlic and herb pork steaks are everything and absolutely delicious, nice and tender, juicy and moist, let me tell you, it's the perfect Sunday or holiday dish. So without further ado, let's get to cooking. As you can see, we have our pork steaks right here. Now, most of us, we're like, pork steaks, what are you talking about? Pork steaks is basically the pork shoulder butt blade, that cut of meat. However, you can go to your local butcher, ask them to cut you up some pork shoulder, and you'll get your pork steaks. Or you can also go to Walmart and get yourself a package. You're going to save 20 cents per pound. This right here is about 3 pounds. And guess what? Only $9.20. Anyway, let's get to prepping. What I like to do is, let's get it out the package first. Then I can tell you what I like to do. Check it out, check it out. Absolutely beautiful. And these are the pork steaks with the bone in. But I'm not going to take it out the package and place it into the pot and all that stuff. Nah, we're not going to do that. But what I like to do is, that's what I was saying earlier, I like to add salt to cold water. Can't use warm water for this one. You got to use that cold ice water because we're dealing with meat. And going with my spatula, give it a quick mix. Make sure that salt is diluted. And once you're done, you're going to have a salt water solution. Let me tell you something. You might feel like this part is not necessary. Then, of course, do what makes you happy. But I can promise you, let it sit in here for about, I would say about 10 minutes. And by the time you take it out, you're definitely going to see a difference. The meat is going to, just trust me on this one. After all, it's been sitting in this right here with this pad and all this stuff for so long. God knows how long, right? So that's why I like to wash it off, you know, get all that excess stuff off of it, all of the little impurities here and there. But like I said, it's totally up to you what you want to do. Anyway, after 10 minutes, I'm going to show you what the pork steaks look like. I like to go on with my hands and just massage the meat. Incorporate the water with the meat. And as you can see, look at all of those like fatty pieces, what I like to call impurities, floating around in the water. You don't want that on your meat. You want to get rid of as much as possible. Moving on to steak number 2. And this is such a quick process. This process right here takes about, 5 minutes. Allow it to sit in the water for another 5 minutes. And before you know it, your pork steaks are going to be nice and clean. It's been about 10 minutes and look at our pork steaks. Look at the difference already in color, right? The meat looks nice and vibrant. And besides, look at what's in the bowl. Time to get rid of that stuff right there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give the meat a clean rinse and make sure you have a ton of paper towels on hand because what we're going to do is we're going to pat this meat dry. Why? Because we're going to be searing our pork steaks. We're going to give it a final rinse in cold water. And make sure you have a ton of paper towels on hand because we're definitely going to need the paper towels because what we're going to do is, let's turn off the water so you can hear what I'm saying. What we're going to do is we're going to pat the meat dry and we need to pat it really dry. We might even have to let it sit in the paper towels for about, I would say honestly, about 3 to 4 minutes. Only to get all of that excess water out of the meat because we're going to be searing these bad boys up and we want it to be nice and water-free. For our ingredients, we're going to be using salt, ground black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, some smoked paprika for that nice smoky flair, as well as chili powder. We also have some butter, and we have our garlic and herb seasoning. Not to mention we have rosemary, dried parsley. We also have some dried oregano, as well as dried thyme, and we have basil for that nice aroma. And let's not forget, we also have some lemons. Using a separate ramekin, we're going to add our salt, ground black pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, smoked paprika, I love this stuff, as well as our chili powder, and our garlic and herb seasoning. Let me tell you something, it's going to tie everything together perfectly. And we're going to mix it all up. And we're going to make our own seasoning. Yes, we are. This seasoning right here is going to be banging. It's going to be so It's gonna be great. Mix it all up, mix it all up. And back to our steak. Yes, look at how vibrant and how pretty our steak is, right? Looks absolutely gorgeous. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of olive oil to the steak, and that just helps when it comes to spreading the dry rub onto the steak. It just makes it so much easier. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our hands, massage that oil into the steak, make sure the meat is well coated with the olive oil. We're gonna flip it on over, repeat the same process. And I know most of you are probably wondering, like, why are you only working with one steak? What happened to the remaining steaks that you had? Well, I have them behind the scenes. And of course, I'm gonna repeat the same thing when it comes to those steaks as well. But for now, we're just gonna demonstrate using one. So much easier and so much quicker. All right, we're gonna take a good teaspoonful of that seasoning mix that we just created, and we're gonna add it to our steak. Don't be afraid because we didn't use much salt products. So our seasoning is not going to be salty. We're going to pat it on in. Make sure the steak is well coated because we want our steak to have a ton of flavor. We're going to flip it on over. Flip it on over. And we're going to do the same thing. Get the seasoning all up in there. And steak number one is well seasoned. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it to the side. We're going to season up the rest the same way I did. We're going to repeat the same process about 4 to 5 times. And once we're done, we're going to show you what to do next. All right, we have our cast iron skillet ready to go. This cast iron skillet is nice and hot. What we're going to do is we're going to add a little oil. We're not going to add too much because remember, I always say once you're working with pork tends to make its own oil. So you don't need to get carried away by adding too much oil. Spread it around. All right, are we ready? Yes, we are ready to rumble. Taking our first piece of steak, we are going to lay it into our cast iron skillet. Followed by adding our second piece of steak. And I know you guys can hear that sear. That's a perfect indication that our pan is nice and hot. Now that's definitely what we need. We need a hot skillet, nothing less. So far, it's been about 3 to 4 minutes on high heat, and it's about that time. Let's be a little nosy. Let's see what's going on. And as you guys can see, our pork steaks has the perfect color, perfect caramelization going on. Yes, this is absolutely gorgeous. We're gonna flip it on over and allow the other side to brown as well. Whenever you're dealing with chili powder or smoked paprika, it's always best to open up a window or turn on the vent, because if not, it's gonna be a little stuffy and you might just choke. So be sure to open up a window. Our pork steaks are done. They are absolutely beautiful, right? Perfect sear, perfect color going on. And trust me, the taste is even better. What we're gonna do next is our remaining herbs and spices that we do have left, we're gonna add it to a ramekin. So to this ramekin right here, we have our basil. I just love how basil smells. Oh my goodness, it just has such a refreshing scent. We're also gonna add our dried parsley, our dried rosemary, dried thyme, as well as our dried oregano. Adding it to the ramekin makes it so much easier. I'm just going to combine everything really quickly and take a good spoonful of that mixture, and we're going to sprinkle it onto our pork steaks. Not only do we have great seasoning going on, but we also want those flavors from the herbs as well as the spices that we added earlier. We're going to pat it in. Make sure it stays nice and locked in. Just like that. Gonna add a little bit more. I also have some fresh lemon on deck. Gonna add it to our lemon squeezer. We're gonna hit our pork steaks with some fresh lemon. When I tell you this lemon juice brings so much refreshing flavor to these pork steaks, trust me, I am not exaggerating. It makes all the difference. Last but not least, we also have our butter. And I'm just gonna cut it like that. It's somewhat melted. Whenever I'm making this recipe, I kind of like the butter to be a little bit on the firmer side, only because I have better control, especially when demonstrating. But it really doesn't matter if your butter is melted or if it's semi-hard. Doesn't matter. Add that butter for that nice buttery flavor. We're going to take some aluminum foil and we're going to lock it on down. Cover it up really good. And we're going to place our pork steaks into our preheated 400-degree oven until our steaks are nice and tender. At this point in time, we're just going to baste it. And so far, I basted it like, this is the second time, to be honest. And so far, it's been going for about close to an hour, about 40 to 45 minutes. And I can honestly say our pork steaks are done. We are basting it because what we want all of those lovely juices with all of the flavors locked into the pork. Remember, we have the lemon juice going on. We have that butter. So basting it is only going to make it taste even better. Our garlic and herb steaks are out of the oven. Look at how beautiful. Wow. Who would think that pork could look this pretty, right? Now here's the thing. We bake these pork steaks at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 to 45 minutes. Let me show you the tenderness. Come on over, let's see, let's see. Look at that. Look at how easy that meat is to break apart. It's just like, wow. I mean, there's no words left to say besides wow. The meat breaks apart with no problem. Why? Because we cooked it at a high temperature for the perfect amount of time. Not to mention, also, it's so flavorful. So flavorful. You thought I was going to say something else, right? But no, it is so flavorful. Another thing you can do to jazz it up even more, you could definitely get some more fresh lemon juice and squeeze it onto your pork steaks. Serve it up with some white rice. OMG. Not to mention your black eyed peas, which is a recipe that I'm going to release like literally back to back. Pair it all together and you have an amazing New Year's dinner or even a Sunday dinner. Totally up to you. Take a big old bite. And I will catch you guys in another video. As always, this is your girl Cooking with Tammy. Full recipe details below the video description bar. If you can't find it in the description bar, of course, feel free to click on the link. That's going to take you directly to my website, cookingwithtammy.recipes. And as always, guys, enjoy. This is good. Delicious. Absolutely delicious.